from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. For today's video, we will be taking a look at the 2.5 week update as far as how the Air Jordan 1 Low OG in the Chicago colorway is holding up. It is winter here in Calgary, Alberta, and I have not stopped wearing this shoe for the last 2.5 weeks. I've basically been wearing this shoe every day for at least 3 or 4 hours. So let's talk about on how this shoe is holding up thus far. All right, so like I said, I've been wearing this shoe nonstop for the last 2 to 2.5 weeks here in Calgary, Alberta. We do have snow now. There is quite a bit of snow on the ground, and I have not stopped wearing this shoe. You know, on weekends, I've been wearing this shoe for like 8 or 10 hours a day. On weekdays, 3 or 4 hours. I have been off for the last around a week because I actually did have Wilson Smith from Nike. He designed the Jordan 16s and 17s, the Air More Tempos. He is a good friend, and he did visit us here in Calgary, Alberta for about a week. So I've been basically wearing this shoe everywhere we have been going while he has been in town. So really cool that he did visit, and really cool that I have been fortunate enough to spend a ton of time in this model. And I am excited to talk about how this shoe is holding up thus far, because honestly, it's just cool that you can walk into a store still here today, over 2 weeks later, and you can still grab this model, a model that was fetching for over $1,000 around 2020 or 2021. So like I said, let's talk about on how this shoe is holding up. All right, so starting with the outsole on this shoe right here, at the back of the shoe, I do have a little bit of heel drag right here on kind of the lateral side that wraps up to the middle. It is kind of wearing away a little bit, so keep that in mind. That is the right shoe. On the left shoe, yeah, it's more of the same. So it is wearing away just a little bit at the heel of the shoe right here. As far as star loss, there is still no star loss here at the toe box of the left shoe. On the right shoe, no, not really. There's really no loss as far as the stars go at the tip of either one of these shoes, which is great because I've spent honestly like at least 100+ hours in this shoe thus far, and the outsole is holding up rather nicely, which is nice to see because, again, such a widely available shoe that a ton of people can pick up, and it's cool to see even in the snow, this shoe is holding up rather nicely. Now, as far as the midsole goes, obviously this is a rubber cup midsole. It is a white midsole at that, so it is getting rather dirty near the back, and on the medial side right here, there's a bunch of dirt and grime, and at the toe box right here from driving in these. More so on the right shoe, on the medial side right here, and on the lateral, there's a ton of like mud and just grime from the snow. Obviously, I've been wearing these in basically all conditions, which is kind of cool to see how it performs, how it's holding up, just so I can kind of give you guys an update if you haven't worn yours yet, or if you're thinking about wearing them rather frequently, on how this shoe holds up. But overall, the midsole, yeah, it's getting dirty, but the nice thing about a rubber cup midsole is it cleans easily. It does not take really any elbow grease. You can grab some Jason Mark or even just your dish soap with a cloth. You can wipe it off and it will be clean. And that's exactly what I plan on doing these after some time. But so far, I am enjoying kind of beating these up. And yes, they're dirty, but honestly, Jordan 1s look good when they're kind of beat up and worn in. Now, as far as the materials go on this shoe, it is a decent grain of leather. Keep in mind the swoosh is a synthetic material. It is not a leather material, but as you can see right here, the toe box is very, very creased up on the right shoe. Obviously, you can see it's a very kind of free-flowing toe box. It's not really backed by any material, which is kind of nice. But the one thing I'm not a huge fan of is this material does wrinkle up really easily, and it kind of looks, a little bit beat up. But I'm not too mad at that because I have been wearing them, and that's the whole point of this kind of wear test, is to see how they're holding up. The same goes for the left shoe. Now, with this leather kind of crinkling up really easy, kind of when I put my finger on it there, the only thing is if you scratch this leather, that top white coating comes off rather easy, because even on my right shoe, I have like a micro scratch right here, and you can see the material below it, and it's kind of more like a gray material. So that is kind of a bummer, but again, a mass-produced shoe, not the greatest quality of leather, but they have broken in rather quickly. The red leather, it's creasing a little bit, but the white leather is creasing a lot more. One other thing I did notice is this bottom eyelet right here, these kind of corners, they are rubbing and they're red, and they're rubbing on the white leather, and it's rubbing on kind of like a pinkish red. I'll throw some photos up so you guys can see. So keep that in mind, because obviously that is something you will expect with a model like this, with red leather and then white leather right below it. When the toe box does move up and down like this, these corners are rubbing on the white leather. So it is kind of bleeding onto that a little bit, but overall, you know, the back of the shoe still looks fantastic. On both sides. The black swoosh looks great. I love the oversized swoosh on this model. I hope they don't change it ever again, because having the 8 lace holes and the bigger swoosh like the collabs and like the originals back in the day, it's just a nice touch, and it's really nice to see. The materials up are holding up rather nicely. Nothing premium, but honestly, it's kind of a nice surprise for such a general release. Then really quickly, I want to cover the fit again in this video, because if you didn't see my last video or my initial review, these fit a little bit bigger than your traditional Air Jordan 1 Low OGs. On this model specifically, they did widen the toe box a little bit. The length is more or less the same, but you do have more relief on the width of the shoe. For me, because there's really no padding at the back of the shoe, I do go with a size 10.5. I go with a 10.5 in all of my Air Jordan 1s, the high tops and the low tops. The highs fit a little bit more snug than these, but just because there's really no padding at the back of the shoe, if I went with a size 11 in these, this would be a sloppy fit in this shoe. And my toe is literally at the end of the shoe, almost touching the end of the shoe. So it's a very snug one-to-one fit. I can wear them loose and I don't really have any issues at all. And I've just really been enjoying this model. So I would say for most people, true to size could work, but I would recommend trying these on in store or just going down half a size, because there's really no padding at the back of the shoe. And then as far as the cushioning goes on this model, how it's holding up, you know, you have a Dream Cell insole right here. Surprised that the Nike Air is still intact on the heel of the insole. It is a white liner with the black Dream Cell on the back. It's a pretty flimsy insole, but it is, you know, it does add a little bit of compression underfoot, which is nice. And then housed in the heel, you do have a polyurethane wedge. Encapsulated in that wedge is a air sole unit, so you can't feel anything. It's a traditional Air Jordan 1 kind of feel underfoot, really nothing special. In the forefoot, there is no cushioning at all, so it's ultra close to the floor. I do know a lot of people that do like to weightlift in the shoe, because it is rather flat and very close to the floor, but for the most part, you know, nothing really crazy underfoot. You could replace the insoles with a Move insole or something more comfortable just to add more compression underfoot. But as far as the stock setup goes, you know, if you've worn a Jordan 1, you've worn all Jordan 1s for the most part, unless you've worn one with a polyurethane insole that adds a little bit more comfort. But this does have a Dream Cell, so really nothing special underfoot as far as the comfort goes. You can get away with these all day on foot, but you might have some pain once you kick them off. But as far as how these are holding up, for the most part, you know, the tongue is still pretty clean. I have the black laces in my pair right here. I plan on throwing a pair of white laces in eventually. But overall, honestly, I am pretty impressed on how these are holding up. Overall, I do enjoy the look of the shoe. I think this is just a timeless classic. Like Jordan 1 Chicago, whether it's a high top or low top, even for some people a mid top, not for me, but you know, the mid tops work for some people. They do enjoy them. But for me, I do really like the overall look of the shoe. Would I have preferred, the Air Jordan 1 Low 85s? Absolutely. I do prefer the 85 specs over the OG specs, but that's not to say this isn't a nice quality shoe that was really widely available and was a breath of fresh air. So great job, Jordan Brand. The shoe is holding up rather nicely. Materials have broken in nicely. It's just a great look on foot. So sound off in the comments if you've worn your pair, how comfortable are they, and how are they holding up? So that's going to do it for today's 2.5 week update on the Air Jordan 1 Chicago Lows. Sound off in the comments if you guys picked these up or you passed. I believe the retail price point for these guys was $140 USD, $180 here in Canada. I picked up like way too many pairs. I don't even want to say how many pairs of these I picked up, but this is like one of those shoes that I need in my collection for like the next 10 or 15 years. I'll go through a couple pairs every couple of years. So overall, great job, Jordan Brand. Hoping eventually they release the low 85s, but until then, these will definitely hold me over. But like I said, that's gonna do it for today's video on the Air Jordan 1 Low OG 2.5 week update wear test. Overall, a great shoe. But as always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would really help the channel out a ton. And check out my Instagram over at Sneaker Tech Talk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. Stick around for the end of the video, as I will have a portion of me having these on foot. But as always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.
Yeah, look, I'm in line with the stars, I'm in sync with the earth.